Look like Team USA is forcing Caitlin Clark to change her infamous 22 number to a new one. Guys, for this one,
Sue Bird just had a full-blown public eruption that no one expected. The shockwave started when reports surfaced that Caitlin Clark told Team USA she's finished if they refuse to let her wear her signature number 22. And Sue's reaction? It sent the entire basketball world into a frenzy. Team USA's managing director is now scrambling to contain the fallout, but the situation is already spiraling out of control. This is quickly turning into one of the biggest controversies women's basketball has seen in years. Before we break down Sue Bird's response and what Caitlin allegedly said behind the scenes, drop your thoughts in the comments. If you were Caitlin, would you walk away from Team USA over a jersey number? This moment could reshape USA basketball's future.
Because we ultimately know she was snubbed from the cover of Team USA. And not only is they snubbing her, the disrespect is continuing because it's looking like Team USA is forcing Caitlin Clark to change her number. Now, this article has come out.
Team USA just sparked one of the biggest self-inflicted disasters in women's basketball. They told Caitlin Clark, the biggest name in the sport right now, that she can't wear her trademark number 22 during the December training camp. And according to people close to her, Caitlin's reaction was simple: if I can't wear my number, I'm not going. Now the controversy is exploding, and Sue Bird, Team USA's managing director, is reportedly scrambling behind the scenes, trying to understand how a jersey number turned into a full-blown crisis. The situation has spiraled faster than anyone inside USA basketball expected.
I thought, with Sue Bird coming in, at least this is someone that has been positive on Caitlin at times. And I think the issue with Sue Bird, though, is she has her hand kind of in so many things. And between with her podcast, where she tries to advocate for the players, but she's also an owner in the league. And now she's got the Team USA thing. And she's got all these connections and relationships she has to maintain. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to someone that went to UConn and someone that did not go to UConn, the UConn Mafia is going to stick together until proven up.
Let's make one thing absolutely clear. This isn't about a jersey number. To many, it feels like an intentional slight toward the very player who reignited global interest in women's basketball. The athlete whose name currently outshines the league itself is being told to abandon the symbol most associated with her identity. And now, fans and analysts everywhere are asking the same question. Does Team USA truly grasp the magnitude of who Caitlin Clark is and what she's done for the sport?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a very creative person. I was born on January 22nd, so it's what I went with when I was about 5 years old.
The controversy erupted just days before Team USA's crucial training camp in North Carolina, set for December 12th to 14th. What was supposed to be a celebratory gathering of elite talent, featuring stars like Paige Bueckers, Juju Watkins, and more, was instantly overshadowed by a stunning twist. Instead of highlighting the sport's brightest players, the camp became ground zero for a strange and unprecedented dispute that could lead the biggest star in basketball to back out entirely. Reports began circulating about a surprising directive that would force Caitlin Clark to give up the number that has defined her identity, from her historic college run to her explosive rise in the WNBA. The timing couldn't be more bewildering. Clark's global popularity is skyrocketing, and this decision only intensified the frustration among her massive fan base. Now, those fans are urging her not to give in, insisting she should stand firm and refuse to abandon such a central part of her brand.
It's to be made that Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark, number 22, is the most recognizable number in women's sports right now. There is no argument to be made. There's no case to be made. Caitlin Clark, number 22, is the most recognizable number for any woman athlete.
Let's be absolutely clear. Caitlin Clark's number 22 isn't just a jersey number. It is the most recognizable symbol in women's sports today. No exaggeration. No debate. That number has become a phenomenon in itself. From her electrifying nights at the University of Iowa to her headline-making performances with the Indiana Fever, 22 has evolved into a signature that fans instantly connect with. whether they're watching from the rafters or on screens halfway across the world. For millions of supporters, that number represents far more than fabric and ink. It's a living piece of her legacy, a brand built in real time. Everything about Clark's story, her rise, her impact, and her identity is tightly woven with that number. When people see 22, they don't just see a player. They see deep-range bombs that defy logic, court vision that feels supernatural, and a competitive fire that has drawn in audiences well beyond the usual basketball crowd. Her number has become an icon, a shorthand for excellence, confidence, and the unstoppable momentum she brings every time she steps on the floor.
To wear number 17 at Team USA training camp on December 24th. News broke that Caitlin Clark will be taking a part in the training, which that's what we talked about at the beginning of the video. Now, this right here this came out this came out on the 24th. So these are the numbers, man. Head on over to Twitter and check this out real quick. So this is what was released right here. It says Lauren Betts. Hold on, here's the ages. Where's the number? Here we go, right here. So these are the numbers. Caitlin Clark. Let me blow this all the way up, man. I want to blow this all the way up so y'all can see this. So as y'all can see there, man, how did Caitlin Clark number will be changed? So who's wearing 22? Or if you guys remember, Michael Jordan wore number 45 in the Olympics. Caitlin, because it don't look like no one's wearing number 22. It don't look like no one's wearing number 22.
Caitlin Clark and the number 22 are now so tightly connected that separating them feels impossible. It's the same way Michael Jordan will always be associated with 23 and Wayne Gretzky will forever be remembered with 99. Asking her to abandon that number at this stage isn't just odd, it feels intentional. It comes across as an effort to weaken a symbol she has spent years building, a move that raises more questions than answers. And the most obvious question is simple: why now? What could possibly motivate such a decision unless the goal is to reassert control over a player whose influence has grown larger than the organization itself? Fans are frustrated because this isn't the first time Team USA has treated her impact like an afterthought. Earlier this year, her exclusion from the Olympic roster shocked almost everyone. How could the most talked about player in the sport, the athlete drawing historic TV audiences, not make the cut? That decision alone sparked suspicion. Now, with this jersey controversy added on top, a pattern is starting to emerge, one that suggests Team USA may be struggling to accept just how transformative, valuable, and culturally dominant Caitlin Clark has become. To many, it feels less like coincidence and more like resistance to a rising superstar who can no longer be ignored. So, what number was Caitlin Clark supposedly being pushed into wearing? According to reports, Team USA intended to assign her number 17 for the upcoming national training camp. 17. A number that, on its own, means nothing except for the fact that it is absolutely not 22. And that's where the entire controversy explodes. For a player whose identity, brand, and historic rise have been built around one of the most recognizable numbers in sports, forcing a switch feels less like a neutral decision and more like an intentional power play. It immediately raises a cascade of questions. Is Team USA trying to reassert authority and remind Clark who holds the final say? Or is this just an out-of-touch, tone-deaf move by an organization completely unaware of how important that number is to her fans, her image, and the larger basketball culture? No matter how you interpret it, the underlying message received by many is unmistakable. We make the rules here. Your star power doesn't give you exceptions. And according to insiders, Caitlin's response was direct and unwavering. If that's the case, then I don't need to be here. What pushed fans from frustrated to furious was the bombshell that followed. No one else on the Team USA training camp roster is wearing number 22. Not a single athlete. The jersey isn't claimed, reserved, retired, or tied to any legacy player. It's simply sitting empty, unused, and fully available. That one detail flips the entire situation upside down. This is no longer about jersey logistics or fairness. It begins to look like a conscious decision to sideline the very symbol that defines the most influential player of her era. If the number is open, Why deny it to the one person globally identified with it? That's the line Caitlin refused to cross, and now Sue Bird is left in the middle of a storm created by this choice. As the managing director of Team USA Basketball, Sue Bird is supposed to be shaping the future of the national program. She hand-selected the roster for this training camp, choosing players she believed would define the next era of American dominance. But instead of focusing on development, strategy, and long-term vision, she's now stuck managing a self-inflicted disaster created by the organization itself. Because let's be honest, pressuring your most influential superstar to give up a core part of her identity was guaranteed to explode. And that explosion landed directly on Sue's desk. Reports describe her reaction as a mix of worry, frustration, and urgency. Behind closed doors, she's reportedly scrambling to patch things together, trying to persuade Caitlin to stay engaged while somehow preserving whatever baffling internal rule sparked this controversy. But here's the reality Sue is facing. Caitlin Clark has all the leverage. She loses nothing by walking away. Team USA loses everything. Caitlin is already a champion, a record breaker, a cultural force, and the most valuable brand in women's basketball. She's elevated the sport globally. So the question becomes, what does she gain by suiting up for Team USA if they can't even respect the identity she built? For her fans, the answer is simple: she doesn't. The truth is simple. Olympic glory isn't something Caitlin Clark needs. She'll still be a global icon without it. International experience? She's already showcased her talent on every stage imaginable. And the honor of representing her country loses its meaning fast when the national basketball program treats you as if your influence is disposable. But what happens if Caitlin walks away from Team USA? They lose everything. They lose the superstar who pulls massive audiences into WNBA arenas. They lose the athlete whose name trends globally every time she steps on the court. They lose the face of the sport's future, the one player capable of bringing mainstream attention to women's basketball on a scale never seen before. Sue Bird understands this perfectly, which is why insiders say she's scrambling behind the scenes, trying to contain a situation that exposes just how little leverage Team USA truly has. This controversy is more than a jersey dispute. It's a magnifying glass on the ongoing disrespect female athletes continue to battle. It fits neatly into the larger, painful pattern that women in sports, especially in the WNBA, regularly confront. Issues like unfair pay, subpar working conditions, and constant fights for recognition are still very real despite the sport's recent explosion in popularity. When the most influential and widely followed player in women's basketball is treated like she's interchangeable, it sends shockwaves throughout the entire league. It reinforces the long-standing frustration many players feel, an exhaustion born from years of fighting just to be valued properly. With collective bargaining tensions rising and the possibility of a WNBA lockout looming, the situation becomes even more symbolic. So when Caitlin Clark, arguably the biggest athletic brand of her generation, draws a line and says this isn't acceptable, the message to every other player is unmistakable. You don't have to tolerate disrespect, even when it comes from the most powerful organizations in the sport. Caitlin Clark isn't the only player in women's basketball with the number 22. Aya Wilson, a dominant veteran, wears it, and rising stars like Cameron Brink also carry it. Historically, this sparked conversations about how multiple high-profile players might share a number, especially in all-star scenarios. But here's the key distinction. Those discussions were always about mutual respect and compromise, not about an organization stripping one of its biggest stars of her signature number without cause. Last year, the hypothetical conflict between Clark and Wilson never came to fruition because Clark missed the All-Star game due to injury. No compromise was needed, and no issue arose. This year, however, USA Basketball preemptively forced a change that wasn't necessary, attempting to swap Clark's iconic number 22 for 17. A number that holds zero connection to her brand, her record-breaking career, or her identity as one of the biggest names in the sport. Once the official training camp roster dropped, it became clear: Caitlin Clark, number 17. Fans and analysts alike were stunned. It wasn't a matter of logistics or another player claiming the number. It was an arbitrary decision imposed on a superstar who built her career around it. Clark reportedly drew a line in the sand, threatening to walk away rather than compromise her identity. Sue Bird, Team USA's managing director, is now scrambling to repair a crisis the organization created entirely on its own. The bigger question looms: should Clark stand firm and protect her legacy, or accept the change for the sake of the team? Fans, analysts, and players are watching closely. This isn't just about a number. It's about respect, branding, and the recognition that one of women's basketball's brightest stars won't be sidelined by arbitrary rules.